Hey Badgers, I'm Jen.
And I'm Neil.
And this is the Daily Cardinal's Week in Review.
For our first story this week, Mayor Paul Soglin has called for the disbandment of homeless encampments in the downtown area. He cited various incidents of public misbehavior as justification for his remarks. Community members gathered at Philosopher's Grove, a common sleeping place for the homeless that will be disbanded under this administrative action, on April 30th and marched to the City Council building. Many commented the lack of action by city officials to address the root causes of homelessness, including affordable housing, jobs, and shelter space, was discouraging. Community members are calling for more daytime shelters and public restrooms.
2 allegations of sexual assault emerged in Madison in incidents involving Uber drivers and young women. The Madison Police Department was unable to apprehend either perpetrator due to limited access to information. Uber failed to cooperate with the investigation by acting within their rights and maintaining private company data. Mayor Paul Soglin's response was a call for state legislation increasing local jurisdiction in private transportation driver identification measures. The incident sparked a partisan divide between state and local government as Soglin and Dane County state legislators urged Governor Scott Walker to veto a bill that failed to include identification measures for transportation drivers.
On Thursday, April 23rd, Wisconsin Union Directorates Society and Politics hosted a debate between the college Democrats and the college Republicans. The two groups discussed their perspectives on issues such as the UW system budget cuts, voter ID laws, right-to-work legislation, and drug testing. The two groups also underscored the importance of civic engagement and a desire to see more people participating in politics.
UW-Madison's National Organization for Women hosted a week of empowerment last week with a variety of events to encourage discussion on gender equality. Their feminist activism kicked off its events with a Monday art project where students defined feminism by their own terms. Other events included a discussion on radical feminism, an art installation of a photography exhibition, and a screening of a film that looks at sexual assault on college campuses.
A couple of weeks ago, UW-Madison students created the world's largest Rice Krispy bar here on campus. I got a chance to sit down with the leader, Joe Tarnowski, to discuss the project.
When we started out, we really didn't know anything, obviously. Our first step in the process was actually to look at the recipe on the box and say, okay, how many of each ingredient do we actually need to make this? We want to make a 15,000 pound Rice Krispie treat. Mm-hmm. So we decided that 9,000 pounds of marshmallows, 5,500 pounds of Rice Krispies, and 1,000 pounds of butter were the numbers that we needed. And those were approximate, like that way we'd have a little bit of room for error in case, some stuff got dumped on the ground. So we emailed some companies and we found donors for all the ingredients. So then we started to think about the process, and after going through several different renditions, eventually we came to the idea of let's boil giant tubs, well, we used garbage cans full of water, and then let's put marshmallows and butter in plastic bags, zip tie them, put them in the water so that it'll boil them, they'll melt down, and then we can cut those open over a large tub full of Rice Krispies cereal, mix it up to even consistency, and dump it into a giant square mold. That was kind of it. And eventually, after cooking for 30-some hours, we got to 1 in the morning on Saturday with the record of 11,327 pounds.
The proceeds from the sale of the Rice Krispie went to benefit local charities.
We are donating to 2 local charities, Camp Kesem and the United Way of Dane County. Camp Kesem is a charity who supports kids whose parents are going through or have passed away from cancer. It's a camp for them to go to engage with other kids with the same experience.
Joe was optimistic about the remaining Rice Krispie to be sold.
I know it's over $7,000 that we will be donating to charity, and we haven't sold off all of it yet, so hopefully in the end we'll make over $12,000. So we've got probably close to 1,800 pounds left, which seems like a lot, but considering that we've already sold almost 4 tons, it's not really that heavy. And half of our inventory is currently sitting in my dorm room, and half of our inventory is in our storage locker, which is about 15 miles east. I haven't done the actual calculation yet for what we ended up with, but for 15,000 pounds it would have been 21 million calories, or just over. So yeah, that's a lot of calories. You can't eat that in a reasonable amount of time.
Last Saturday, April 25th, our sports reporters visited Camp Randall for the spring football game.
We're coming to you from Camp Randall Stadium. I'm Jake Powers.
And I'm Lauren Cox.
And we just concluded the spring game. Team Gosser beat Team Dukin 35-7 in an absolute blowout. Lauren, what stood out to you about the game today?
Well, I mean, right away you look at the stat sheet and you see the wide receivers, and Rob Wheelwright really had a great game. He finished with 2 touchdowns and some really nice balls thrown deep by Stave and the other quarterbacks. And on the field, you see these guys, they're running a lot of complicated routes, but the routes that they are running, they're running really well. So you see, it's a position that had a lot of questions going into the spring, but I think some of those are starting to be answered. We had a chance to talk with Rob Wheelwright after the game about his performance and the way his receivers group has kind of developed this spring. It seems like some of the route combinations today were a little bit basic. Would you think that was just kind of a result of the practice and the audience?
Yeah, the spring game, we was real basic today, and some of the guys were kind of upset about that, but, because the DBs kind of know our plays now, so. But it was good. Like, we got some great first rep plays, and it was great.
With the rotations at quarterback, is it hard to kind of get in sync with one guy, or do you kind of just feel like no matter who's throwing it, you're going to get it?
Yeah, no matter who's throwing it, I'm going to get it. Some guys are like to throw it deep or like the back shoulder. That's probably the only difference between our quarterbacks, back shoulder or just kind of lob it up to you, especially when you're running the fade route. But other than that, they're usually all on point.
Defensively, guys who stood out today, Chikwe Obashi was all over the field. He was in the backfield constantly generating pressure. He was all over the field. TJ Edwards was another one who you saw him constantly making plays. He's another guy who's high energy. He's a part of this defense which is a lot more athletic than what we saw last year, and it's definitely encouraging to see. Thank you for tuning in. We're signing out here at Camp Randall Stadium. Again, Team Gosser beat Team Dukin 35-7 in the 2015 spring game. Thank you very much.
Madison is playing host to some fun activities this weekend. The Revelry Music and Arts Festival was supposed to draw in 10,000 people to the Library Mall area, where big names such as Chance the Rapper and the Chainsmokers will be performing.
We hope everyone has a fun and safe weekend. Once again, I'm Jen.
And I'm Neil.
And this has been your Week in Review.